It's domino season in Tuscaloosa for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Some of you don't understand that reference, so let me explain. One falls, and the rest are slowly trickling behind. Nick Saban, after 17 seasons, 6 national titles, and countless SEC championships, has announced he's retiring. Multiple coaches have said thanks, but no thanks for the opportunity to be the heir apparent in Titletown, and a bunch of kids are about ready to enter the transfer portal looking for their new home. And one player recently made it clear he's at least exploring his options. Isaiah Bond, star wide receiver, is expected to enter the transfer portal. What does this mean for Bond's future? What does this mean for the future of Alabama? And who are some schools that should be hell-bent on securing number 17 status for 2024? Let's go ahead and talk about it. But if you are new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. Simply because the clock has struck 0 on 2023 does not mean I'm going to stop making content for you fine people. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on Isaiah Bond entering the transfer portal, where he can land. Could he come back to Alabama? And whatever else you really want to talk about, go ahead and tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, your best of bros, the drunk dude passed out in a Publix parking lot, and college football aficionados everywhere about this channel, because we are on the race to become the #1 YouTube show talking about our favorite sport. Continue to follow me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. That way, conversations surrounding college football never have to stop flowing. Isaiah Bond was the hero this past year for Alabama. In the biggest games, he stepped up and came in clutch. Everyone will talk about the highlight grab on 4th and 31 in the Iron Bowl, and that absolutely deserves garderation in its own entity. But he came up big against Georgia in the SEC championship. He had a couple of highlight grabs against Arkansas and Texas A&M, against Tennessee. He was the go-to guy for Jalen Milroe, and really the one staple at wide receiver outside of Jermaine Burton. So you knew what type of talent you had residing in Tuscaloosa. Well, now he's entering the transfer portal, and this is not uncommon for a lot of teams and for a lot of programs that are losing their head coach. They committed to Nick Saban. They committed to the process and the ability to win titles and the thought that he was going to be there for the long run. And now that he is now hanging up the whistle, everything is open. Maybe he'll come back to Tuscaloosa. Whoever is hired will be able to sell a pitch to him why this is a good fit for you, why my offense is going to be potent, why you are going to over exceed expectations going into next season. And other teams are able to go ahead and do the exact same thing. So who are those teams that could be interested? Number one is going to be Texas for me. Plain and simple. Texas already has the persona, the identity, and the roster construction to say, you come to us, you're playing in a college football playoff. You come to us, you're going to be potentially winning Biletnikoffs. You come to us, you potentially are going to be an All-American. Doesn't that sound pretty nice to you? I think it sounds pretty nice to Isaiah Bond. You know that the proof of concept works underneath Steve Sarkisian. Offensively, this past year, top 15 in scoring, top 20 in passing, top 10 in total yards. They have an identity that works to a T. They know how to run it. They know how to pass it, and they have a veteran quarterback returning in Quinn Ewers, plus a potential upside in Arch Manning coming back. They need wide receiver help with experience. There's a lot of good young talent on this team. I have already raved about Jonte Cook. I think he's going to be a superstar. They went out and they added in Matthew Golden, an all Big 12 second teamer and special teams ace during his time at Houston. And there's some names that are coming in as part of the 2024 recruiting class and 2023 that could be difference makers in the short term, the long term. But Bond comes in immediately. There you go. There's your Adonai Mitchell replacement. And it's going to be very hard to say that you wouldn't like to see an Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden, Jonte Cook running seams and scout patterns all across the field on the 40 acres, terrorizing teams in the SEC. Don't think for 1 second that Texas is going to be playing second fiddle as soon as they touch down on July 1st. They're going to kick someone out of the prominent chair and move them down to the kids table or the tier 2 status in the SEC simply because the big, bold brand name. And Sark is coming around. He's sticking by. He doesn't plan on leaving to go to Tuscaloosa. So you know that your coach is going to be secure for at least another season. Next up, Florida State. Florida State is a proof of concept philosophy for me. When you look at the Seminoles, what they've been able to do with Mike Norvell, who recently signed an 8-year extension, you already know it works. The transfer portal is bountiful in Tallahassee, and players walk away and they come out the other side even stronger than before with better draft status because they went and played at Doak Campbell Stadium. Keon Coleman is a perfect example of this. Anybody who wants to look at Coleman and say that this kid is not at least going to garner first round buzz, you're out of your mind. But does it happen if he goes to anywhere else? What if he goes to Ole Miss? What if he goes to Texas? Or what if he stays in East Lansing underneath Mel Tucker? Does he end up still being one of the better receiving prospects heading into 2024? I don't know. But here's what I do know. He went to Tallahassee. He thrived down in Tallahassee. And because of it, he was a part of the process that led your team to an undefeated regular season finish. So you like the odds of what you've seen down in Tallahassee. They brought in a veteran quarterback with DJ Uiagalelei. They have some young up-and-comers that could be difference makers from the jump. They're still riddling the transfer portal, and they will continue to add in talent, primarily from a school like Alabama, because of they're built that way. And if they land a player like Isaiah Bond, wash, rinse, repeat on the process of us thinking that they are not going to be contenders in the ACC for 2024. A sleeper team that's actually kind of interesting. But Texas A&M would make a lot of sense here. Why? Who did they just hire as their wide receiver coach? The guy that had been working with Bond the last 2 years in Wiggins. Who have they brought in that is a difference maker for this offense? Really nobody. They've added in some good wide receivers, but nothing in the same capacity of Isaiah Bond. And what do we know about Texas? Just the state in general. Rich oil money and a lot of boosters ready to open up the NIL funds. So if you have a great relationship with your wide receivers coach and you want to play in the conference where it just means more, and you want to be a part of the process that is unraveling to where you believe that this could be a breakout team, why don't you go ahead and sign up and play for your former wide receivers coach on a brand new staff in the Lone Star State where you will still be at the pedigree of all conversations. I think it's a dark horse, but certainly at least going to be brought up in the enigma. Next up, USC. What do we know about USC? Love to be able to spend money, love to run offenses, love the offensive concepts of what you're able to produce underneath Lincoln Riley. You usually are a pretty decent receiver and well known when you play in that style of offense. You can go back and look at a countless slew of names over the history of the NFL. Over the history of college football, from CeeDee Lamb to D.D. Westbrook to Hollywood Brown to now you have Brendan Rice. Then you also have Jordan Addison. Countless names have found their success stories while working underneath Lincoln Riley, and they come out on the other side stronger because of it. Miller Moss looks like he is about ready to take over the world of college football as the heir apparent of Caleb Williams. And we all know that once you had a quarterback like that and never made the college football playoff, you're going to do everything in your power to make sure that never happens again. So Isaiah Bond to USC on paper makes a lot of sense. Offensive fit makes a lot of sense. More importantly, stability at quarterback makes a lot of sense. I would be hard-pressed to not imagine Lincoln Riley at least making a phone call down to Tuscaloosa and see if Bond's interested. Two more teams for you. Number one, Colorado. I'm going to throw them out there always because of Deion Sanders. I get it. He's kind of gone on the back burner. We've kind of not heard a lot of names be mentioned right now, but you look at Colorado, they still are adding in talent. They still are finding ways to secure frontline starters that are difference makers. And they are a team that is willing to be aggressive when it comes to the NIL portal. If they go out and they're able to add in a guy like Isaiah Bond, what they're doing is they're fortifying themselves in an epic run in the Big 12. They're saying, we know that we can be a team that is competing, maybe not for national championships or college football playoff appearances, but you're going to get our best 60 minutes every single Saturday. You better present yourself, because if you don't, we're walking away with a dub and you're walking away with your tail between your legs. Last team, and it's a very big wild card, but I could see it happening simply because it's the SEC. It's the grand stage. It's the granddaddy of them all. It's Georgia. It's Georgia. Georgia has been able to steal players from rivals before. They recently did it by landing Trevor Etienne from Florida. Many people were perplexed to think that that was even an opportunity. Well, in the world of college football today, it's not about the Jimmies and Joes. It's all about the nickels and dimes. It's about making sure that you have the right funds, and whoever is willing to pay the price is going to get the talent. Georgia, they have a good wide receiver room. They have a very stable wide receiver room, especially with what you know is coming back and especially what you know you recently added. They don't need to go out and add in an Isaiah Bond, but they didn't need to go out and add in a Trevor Etienne. Lo and behold, they did, because they realized we're better for it, and our offense is going to be humming because now we don't have to rely heavily only on Carson Beck. So why not fortify your offense by adding in yet another playmaker for Beck on a run that would definitely secure you as the favorites to win the SEC. That just makes a little bit of sense to me. And yes, Alabama fans out there that still are watching this video, number one, thank you. Number two, subscribe down below. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on this team and what happens to Bond. There is an opportunity for him to still come back. Any coach that walks into that building will at least be able to sit down and have a conversation, sell him on the idea of the offense. And if you don't think that Kalen DeBoer, who right now feels like the favorite, can't do it, never forget that he was able to convince Rome Odunze to stick around in Seattle once he touched down from Fresno. You want to know what happened? Odunze is now going to be a premier wide receiver in the NFL. He nearly was the Biletnikoff Award winner this past year. He was the backbone and the go-to target for Michael Penix Jr. over 2 seasons that saw them have the #1 passing attack in college football. And now he's coming down to Tuscaloosa. You don't think he could sell the exact same type of process with a guy like Isaiah Bond? You're out of your mind. So the race is not over. Absolutely, Alabama still is a player to keep Bond around, but teams that definitely make a lot of sense to me. Number 1 is Texas. 2 is Florida State. Number 3 in a dark horse is Texas A&M. Number 4 is USC. Number 5, I have to throw them out there, Colorado. And number 6, without question, is Georgia. Sometimes if you can't beat the best, you take the best. And then the best, they come back and beat up on you. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.